technology is, it's a different meaning there. But I just wanted to understand what does the dictionary say about technology, because we all have a different understanding of technology. As for many people it may be different. But if you see, technology basically is something that you would always use. You would tend to use, and why do you use it is maybe because of various reasons. And definitely when you use technology, the quality of that output that you do, whether it's teaching, whether it's singing, whether it is logistics management or whatever it may be, there could be an enhancement. We expect that the quality would increase. So one reason why we use technology is to enhance the quality of the process that you're doing, whatever may be the process. And of course, when you increase the quality and when you use technology, probably your efficiency of doing that process also will increase. And that's how we have seen many times when we employ or deploy technology in the work that we do. And it might bring in a lot of professionalism in the process that you're doing, and it will increase the productivity of that process. Who is part of the station or a part that's doing that whatever. So basically increases the slide. We will revisit this slide maybe in about by the middle of this session. We'll see how we will come back to the slide and see whether we have understood this process or not. Okay, so let me move forward. So let's say we go ahead with the technology. We want to embrace the technology. Okay. Now, before you embrace technology in whatever field that you're working in, whether it is accounting or whether it is teaching or whether it is whatever domain that you're working in, you should have a good understanding of the domain. So as teachers, more than me, maybe you interact with the students much more than somebody else or some other. So you are the right person to understand the domain. So if you're an administrator, then you know the domain. If you're a student, then you know what you need to, what you're supposed to be doing as a student. So every person who's doing in that process is the right person, and he or she should have a good understanding of the domain that they're working in. And as you work in that, as you go through that process in that process, you might face a lot of challenges. There could be a lot of obstacles, and probably those challenges that you face could be solved by a technology or some technology. Bringing in technology, you may be able to address those challenges, and most probably, you could be able to resolve or find solutions for those challenges that you're facing. And as you move ahead, because of your knowledge of the domain, and if you can bring in technology more and more, you may be able to innovate the processes. Now, when you say innovate, it's finding new ideas on how to conduct that process so that it becomes much more effective for the person who's receiving it. So if you take a teaching itself, can I make it more better for the student? Can it be more? Can the experience of the students be enhanced using technology? So as you move ahead, because you have a very good knowledge of the domain, so you know what the students might need. I've heard teachers telling, for example, even I know that, for example, if I ask a question, if the student has answered wrongly, I want to know why he answered wrong. Not that why he has answered right also, I would like to know. So so you may use technology to understand the student also. So we'll come to those slides at a later stage. Okay, we'll see how that happens. And can I adopt it? And is there a technology at all where my challenges can be addressed? Is it there? Or can I use the technology? And if I'm going to use it, how much of will I use it? Can I cover the entire post-process of that I'm doing from the beginning to the end? Whatever. Can I have technology solving all my things, the entire thing? So there is a lot of, these are some of the questions that you may ask, you may want to ask. And then these are some things that you should be ready to address. So a good knowledge of domain is definitely required, because unless you know the domain that you're working in, you may not be able to. Now, I would like to take a small example. So let's take a small example of a sound engineer. It's quite different from what you are doing probably. So let's say you're talking about a sound engineer. So you can see I put the three photographs here. Now these three photographs, the first two photographs in the top are probably about 30 years back, or I don't know honestly. But one thing is sure, you can see the difference between the two photographs on the top and what's happening on the photograph below. That's one domain where technology can be put in, and how much depends on the sound engineer. So if you take any domain, you will find that technology has made its inroads into into those areas, and it has in fact enhanced that quality and has the productivity or the experience. For example, if you go to the supermarket, what has happened over the years? The billing has become easy, your payments have become easy. So technology is trying to solve those challenges and make it more productive and easy for you to conduct your business. So this is only, I just took an example of a sound engineer. So let me straight away go into the process that we are doing in a school. So if you're talking about a school, what are we doing there? It's pretty much teaching and learning. I've deliberately not used the word education, because education, I feel it's totally different from all this, because it's much more than teaching and learning. It encompasses teaching and learning process that happens in the school, the collaboration that happens between the children, the collaboration between the teacher and the student, the collaboration between the parents and the students, the collaboration of the student or the child with the society. So education is a bit more larger ecosystem, or it's much more than what happens. So that's why I deliberately did not say how to bring online education or online technology into education. I would say teaching and learning process. So let's address that at least right now. So in this, that's why I have not put the word education there. So teaching and learning process. So that's what happens in a school. I mean, one of the things that happens in the school, because education also happens in the school. So one of those components is teaching and learning process. So when we have this teaching and learning process happening in the school, then what do we see there? So I would take one more poll at this time, and I also have some people raising their hands at this point of time. I don't know whether they have a question or not. We will take up these questions as soon as it comes. If you have any questions, if you wanted to raise any questions, please click on the question answer tab on your screen, and then you can just type in the questions. We'll address all those questions at the end of the session. So there is a Q&A part in the WebEx. It shows as a question mark. You click on that, and then you can put your question there, and then we would address that sometime later in the session. So so let's come back to the teaching and learning process. So when you see the teaching learning process, we do have a lot of I'll just move my slide and then come to that. What happens in a school in the teaching learning process? You have a synchronous learning, or this is called where everybody sits in a class. There's a lot of teaching happening. There's a lot of interaction happening. Students go in to write some exams. Assessments happen. I mean, the photograph, in fact, I put a photograph where students are writing on a tab, but let's not worry about that. Assume that they are writing on sheets of paper. There is a marking or some certifications happening. The students pass the exam, and then they move forward. So this is mostly what that happens in every school or any teaching institution. It's more of a synchronous learning that we are seeing. So everybody synchronously move towards. So there could be a lot of homework that is happening, which is outside the school. There could be a lot of learning that the students are doing because of the lot of online portals that have come up in the last 5 or 6 years. So there could be, but basically, we are all teachers. I mean, in a school, if you're talking about a school, this is what happens.